Hello and happy Friday, everyone. Nick Marro here with DFS Jayhawk, as always, helping you break down tonight's NBA DFS main slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. It is the finals, game four. So, obviously, we're breaking down the showdown slate for you guys. Obviously, happy to answer any questions as they pertain to betting or anything else. But this show will focus on our builds for DraftKings and FanDuel. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I think we're good to go. Jayhawk, how you doing, man? What are your initial thoughts going into this game? I'm honestly shocked that OKC's down 2-1, but here we are. It's been a good series.
Yeah, man, it's been a very shocking series to say the least. Fully expected OKC to be up here coming into this game, but here we are. OKC down 2-1. Fun slate to break down per usual tonight. Lots of ways we can go. Lots of different captain builds I do like. So excited to break this one down with you.
Yep, and it looks like people are filing in. I think we went live on the wrong link initially, so appreciate you guys finding us. Looks like we're here now. First question here from Eli. Appreciate you being here, man. What's up, guys? Got a two-part question for you. Who do you like a captain on DK for single entry? Williams, Chet, or Siakam? And two, who do you like better tonight if you had to pick one, SJ or Halliburton? So I will say we got a lot right last time, Chuck and I. The one thing we didn't get right was the Halliburton fade. It's kind of been our theme, though, for this entire series. OKC going to kind of key in on him. I mean, I was very bullish on Hartenstein going into that last game. That obviously didn't work out because Chet was playing out of his mind. But yeah, to answer this part one for me, I kind of like going back to Siakam, even though I think OKC is going to win. And if I'm only picking one, it's probably SGA. But Jayhawk, feel free to take on that two-parter. Guys, we will go through like each team and break things down that way. But obviously the questions help drive the show, so appreciate them.
Yeah, so for the first part here, I'm going to also say Pascal Siakam, one of my highest exposed Pacers tonight. So love Siakam. And then I also have, once again, kind of similar to 2 games ago, have a bunch of SGA as well. So definitely SGA and Siakam.
Yeah, Antoine here saying Hartenstein captain. I mean, the price is there. I definitely think it's appealing. Don with a tough question here. For large field, who's a must have guy in flex? I mean, looking at DK first, I mean, if you don't have SGA at captain, tough not to play him at all. I would say he's someone I'll have a lot of. Chet is very popular tonight. He looked amazing, especially in the first half. To me, I don't know what that ownership. He's someone I want to go to. I think I'm going right back to the well with Siakam. I'm going to be under on Turner. I think he's playing banged up, but I don't know. Pricing matters, right? First and foremost. I do think for me, Siakam, I'm going to go right back to what I did in game three, and hopefully it does break for me this time. I'm going to have a lot of SGA captain. Siakam is my first guy in as a flex, and then kind of go more balanced after that. Jayhawk, what about you? I mean, which value guys are you identifying as kind of must plays? Is there anything really standing out to you? Ownership pretty flat for most of the mid range plays, but yeah, pricing not as many adjustments as between game two and three, right? We saw a lot of the cheap guys get priced up. This time, not so much.
Yeah, so oddly enough, my highest exposed like mid-tier guy is actually Alex Caruso. 6,400 does seem like a stiff price point, especially on DraftKings, but I do like the way he fits builds, especially in a game I think they likely win here. So I have a bunch of Caruso, but I did want to hear your take on Case and Wallace. 25% owned. I know we briefly touched on him two streams ago. Do you have a different stand on him today, or how do you feel about him today?
I mean, I have been very bearish on Case and Wallace this entire series. I thought going in that they kind of should have went big against Indy. I mean, I still kind of do, given the results. But the thing with Kaysen, even as the starter, he's only playing 22, 24 minutes a game. I'm much more comfortable going to some of the other value guys. I do like the Caruso call. For me, Wallace is just someone I'm comfortable getting away from. I just don't think it's going to hurt us too much. 5,700 too. His price has actually come up. So yeah, or maybe I'm looking at the captain price. What's going on? Yeah, I guess I'm looking at the captain price. I was like, why did his price go up? Yeah, so his price has come down to a point where I don't know. It's interesting, but I don't even think you're going to get 20 fantasy points out of him. So we got to look at who else is in that range. Like I'd much rather go to McConnell. I'd rather go to Matherin. Hartenstein coming off a bad game. I'm fine with. He's fine as like a last piece in for me. I do think that he's probably going to play his 24 minutes, but I don't know. I'm not bullish. I do like the price decrease, but that's really the only reason I have much interest.
Yeah, I tend to agree there as well.
Eli, another good question here. Who's more popular, Matherin or McConnell? Both played well in game three. So Matherin's interesting, right? We kind of talked about how we thought he'd be able to create his own shot if OKC was doing a good job on Halliburton. Matherin would probably be someone they would need, especially if they fell behind. Interestingly enough, the game was competitive. Matherin was out of his mind, but we only have him for 18 minutes here. So I don't know. As well as he played, the minutes weren't necessarily there. I do think TJ probably has the higher ceiling if I'm picking between the two, but it's close. I do like both of them. I just think TJ has the higher floor. Matherin has the higher ceiling. But yeah, the ownership's flat. I thought Matherin would be more popular. He was last late, so maybe these projections are a little bit off. But for me, I prefer TJ tonight, just trying to zig when the field zags. But they're both good plays, Jayhawk. Do you have a hot take on either of those guys, or you get into a lot of both?
Yeah, so take this with a grain of salt because Matherin will probably go off if I say I'm going to fade him. So I'm not fading him today, but I do prefer TJ McConnell for the price. I think his floor is much safer. So I'm going to say McConnell there.
Yeah. How much AGA captain are you comfortable with? SGA, I imagine you're saying. I mean, I don't know. The field is only at 20%. I think it's going to be higher than that. I like him a lot. I mean, most of these series, it's like one team wins. They almost alternate, like who's going to show up. This feels like a must win for OKC. Um, like I said, it didn't work out last time, but I'm going right back to the well. He's going to be my highest owned captain. Again, I'm someone who only plays a handful of lineups. But for me, I mean, if you're playing 150 to get over the field, I think you could go close to 50% and feel pretty good about it. How about you, Jayhawk?
Yeah, once again, I'm super high on SGA captain. Even with the 800 price point increase, like his ceiling is by far the highest, maybe outside of like Halliburton. So, yeah, I totally find Jamin SGA captain once again.
Antoine brings up a pretty good point here. The price came up on Siakam a little bit and actually came down on Williams a little bit. On FanDuel as well, the prices are up. So it's interesting. I still prefer Siakam, and the main reason for that is just because I'm so bullish on SGA. I think if Williams has a ceiling game, you probably don't want to have a ton of SGA captains. So for me, the way I'm building, I'm getting to more Siakam, but it is a fair point. I just don't know that 4 to 600 is enough for me to really make some crazy stand. If we're sorting by OF index, though, again, Jalen is coming in above Pascal, as is Chet Holmgren. So I'm just trying to look for this like correlation that may or may not even be there. But going right back to the well with a ton of SGA at captain for me, I like the correlation with Siakam a little bit more. If this game were to blow out, obviously Jalen could outscore Siakam. You could still want SGA at captain. But how you handling this one, Jayhawk? It is interesting that the prices have kind of flipped a little bit. And shouts out Heath here, saying what's up, fellas. Always appreciate you being here, Heath.
Yeah, so definitely interesting. Price disparity there with Siakam and J Dub. I think for me, I'm gonna also tell you here. Siakam. I just feel like if we're gonna be heavy on SGA, I think we want to build a little bit less on Jalen Williams. But again, like you mentioned, it's a great shout. If you do like Williams tonight, try to have less SGA captain. Try to maximize that ceiling for J Dub. So just kind of how you're building is how I would answer that.
Yep. Eli, we're going to get to your next question, but before we do, let's kind of get into the team by team a little bit, right? So, obviously, only two teams here. We're both bullish on SGA. I'm going to pull up the box score from last game so I have it in front of me. It's not like he played terribly. It's just there were guys that were outperforming him, especially in terms of point per dollar. He is still averaging over 30 points per game for the playoffs. He's been tremendous. I don't think anyone's necessarily surprised by that, but let me just pull this up here. Um, but yeah, I mean, do you think Chet's going to repeat what he did? I know I felt terrible the first 5 minutes of that last game when he came out playing out of his mind. But to me, that I don't know. I don't know that they're going to do the exact same thing here, obviously. Um, and yeah, the main reason I wasn't super bullish on Chet was because the minutes. I mean, they've been pretty flat between him and Hartenstein. But again, when he's playing that well, we are going to see an increase. We are projecting him for 30 tonight. So I guess my question, and maybe I'm too wordy in getting to it, who do you prefer out of Jalen and Chet? Are you super bullish on Chet after that tremendous game? Or are you like me and maybe trying to force it a little bit more Hartenstein, even though it might be, I don't know, wishful thinking? Because Chet has been playing really, really well.
Yeah, so I'm actually not that high on Chet tonight. especially in terms of like lineup construction, I just wasn't landing on as much as I, thought I would, especially after, a pretty good game last game. Um, he's still fine. I think, he's 42% owned. I'm pretty much pretty hardly under that in my 20 max exposures. But yeah, I do like the Hardenstein call. I mean, he's only 4,800 in the flex on DraftKings. So I think that's a, really good price point there, especially if we're going to be under on Chet. So once again, we're on the same page tonight, Nick. I love the price point there for Hartenstein as well.
Yeah, and again, Hardenstein only played 18 minutes, didn't do much of anything. 3 rebounds, 4 points, played terribly. But Chet got 35 minutes. Chet was playing out of his mind. They gave him the extra run. He finished as a +1, obviously, in a game that they lost by more than 10 or close to 10 points. Played pretty damn well, but Hartenstein, when he was in there -4, wasn't like there was a huge discrepancy between the two. But I would be surprised if those minutes weren't a little bit closer, like we saw in games 1 and 2. So I don't want to fade Chet, and I said this. If you're going with either at captain, someone asked about Hartenstein at captain. I do think Chet obviously has the much higher ceiling, but for my builds, I want to go more SGA at captain, maybe a little Jalen, maybe some Siakam, and that's getting me to more Hartenstein in terms of point per dollar as a value play, especially in low ownership. Again, SGA, the worst game he's had maybe of the playoffs. I think there was one or two other shaky ones in there. That game they got blown out by the Knicks, but only 24 points for him. A guy who averages over 30 in the playoffs, over 30 in the regular season, obviously the MVP. I think just going back to the well with him here is kind of the way I want to go. He is projecting to be the most popular captain. I do want to say that, but at the same time, only 19% to me seems too low. So if he's anywhere near that, let's talk about some of these bench guys. I mean, one thing I did get right, got plenty wrong, was Dort. He came out really hot, looked good. He's still too cheap in my opinion. Like that he's taking threes. He was 4 for 5. Didn't really have the stocks we normally see from him. He's one of my preferred kind of mid-range value plays. And again, we'll talk about OKC first here. You already brought up Caruso. I think he's excellent. He's been playing outstanding. This was his worst shooting performance of the series, and he still did pretty well. I mean, the stocks were there, assists, rebounds. He's stuffing the stat sheet and playing more and more minutes every single game. A guy in the regular season who we kind of saw capped around 2025, just really, really ramped up his playing time in the playoffs. We have him for 28 minutes. I actually think that's low. And if it is, I mean, he's probably going to overtake guys like Naismith, Nemhard, maybe even Turner in terms of upside. But yeah, man, I guess we've talked about Hartenstein. We talked about Caruso. Are you interested in much Dort? And I guess in that same breath, are you interested in the really cheap guys like Joe or Wiggins? For me, they're more just blowout only type plays. Maybe they do go back to Wiggins though, because he played so good in Game 2 and didn't play much in Game 3, and obviously they struggled there. So I don't know. What are your takes on the really cheap guys? But start with Dort. I do like Dort again.
Yeah, so I agree. I think Lou Dort is pretty much integral to OKC winning this game tonight. They need him to hit those threes when he gets the opportunities. So, assuming he does hit those threes here, I do expect him to hit a couple. So I do like him at 5,200. And I think the big question for me and probably the rest of the field comes down to Lou Dort versus Obi Toppin. They're both like
Mm.
sub 5K. And the game script that I'm leaning towards, I do prefer Lou Dort, but I mean, Obi Toppin's still great. I mean, he's going to project probably about the same or maybe a little bit better. Um, did you have a hot take on Obi Toppin? And to answer your question about the rest of the guys here, like Isaiah Joe, Ben Shepherd, like you could maybe get down to these guys, but I don't like the deep shots on them.
So it's interesting. I love Dort. I do think he has a low floor, but I just think his ceiling is crazy high. But at the same time, I do like Toppin as well. And another take that I've been kind of taking throughout this series that's kind of worked out is that I'm not going to play a ton of Turner. I think he's banged up. He actually did get to 30 minutes for the first time this series, but still didn't really produce for where he's priced. So if I'm getting away from Turner, that tells me they're going to lean on Toppin more, especially in transition. This is a very fast paced game. That's why we saw Matherin thrive when he did. So for me, yes, I do like Toppin, but I just think for a $200 difference, I'd rather go to Dort. But at the same time, I'm totally fine playing them both in the same lineup. But if we're not going through those very, very cheap guys, I think it makes a lot of sense. On FanDuel, it's interesting because Dort's much more expensive, about 1K. But we got TJ McConnell kind of jammed in the middle there. I think he's my preferred value play in that range. That I'm still going to get to a lot of Dort, but I do like Toppin. In my big take tonight, I'm playing like 5 to 10 lineups. I'm probably gonna have no Turner, so I'll have plenty of Toppin. I'll have a lot of Dort and TJ. it. But again, I'm mostly just trying to jam an SGA with one of Williams or Chet and Siakam in most lineups. Going to come in under on Halliburton again and hope it works out. He played really well. 22 points, 11 assists, 9 boards, almost had the triple double. I think they're going to do everything they can to slow him down. We're going to see more double teams on him, which means maybe we get more minutes for Matherin. And I'll use this as an opportunity to kind of transition into Indiana. Again, Matherin played tremendously. One of the captains you wanted, 27 points. Only 22 minutes, though, so just keep that in mind. He got to the foul line a lot. But again, if they're going to key in on Hallie, he's one of the only guys on this team that can create his own shot. A guy I think who underperformed was Nemhard. Tonight, I want to get to more Nemhard. I think he's someone in the mid range on the Pacers who I like more than Naismith, Turner. And yeah, I just think you got to kind of tell yourself a story when you're building these showdown lineups. The story I'm telling myself is OKC's going to win. The game's going to be pretty competitive, but they're going to do a better job slowing down Halliburton, which is going to create more opportunities for someone like Nemhard. So yeah, let me know just kind of overall where you're at on Indy. But yeah, I think Nemhard coming off a terrible game doesn't feel great, but it's somewhere I definitely want to go. He had 5 fouls, so he was in some foul trouble too about that last game.
Yeah, so love that shout with Nimhard. Especially I'm once again on the same page. Like Halliburton, they have to try to stop him. So should see a lot more shot attempts, like you mentioned for Nimhard. I think he looks great. I do much prefer him to Neesmith. I just think his floor is slightly safer, assuming he stays out of foul trouble. So love the Nimhard shout. Yeah, and then who's the other guy that I liked in Indiana here? Yeah, I'm off Turner alongside you. Just very tough spot here against OKC.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think we're pretty much aligned, which is hopefully a really good thing. But yeah, man, where are you at on McConnell? Again, another guy who's not always playing a ton of minutes, tends to produce really well in those minutes. Almost 30 fantasy points in just 15. He was the spark plug that really helped them win that game. Obviously, Matherin was doing a lot of the scoring, but man, he's really been a jolt off the bench for them. I like TJ here a lot. Again, on FanDuel, I think he's the most underpriced player over there, but on DK as well, one of my favorite value plays. You get into a lot of TJ, and again, I don't think he plays 20 minutes, but I don't think it matters.
Yeah, man, he's just been incredible in terms of production for fantasy. Like, yeah, less than 20 minutes, just been putting up huge numbers. So I think he looks great. I just have it. I have trouble finding him. I mean, I have a hard time finding him to be so low. Like, I think he's going to be at least 25, 30%. We have him at 17%, but I think he definitely has to come in higher than that. So love him today. One of my favorite value pieces on the slate.
Yep. All right, let's take a few of these questions, guys, and then we'll kind of talk through some builds. I do have DK and FanDuel pulled up, so we're going to try to build for each. Eli here. Last question, I promise. Hey, feel free to ask as many questions as you want. If you pay for a couple expensive guys, especially one of them in captain, what's the best way to build around the remaining salary in general strategy? So this is tricky. And people are asking too, like if OKC blows out, who are the guys you're going to want to have? You kind of have to play this game out in your head. First, do you think it's going to be competitive? If it is, and you're paying for an expensive captain, you want him to be hitting his ceiling. So if SGA is hitting his ceiling in a game that doesn't blow out and it's going to be competitive, I would want a little bit less of Jalen and Chet because you really want the best SGA game possible, or maybe he's close to 40 points. But at the same time, if you think it blows out, you want SGA, you want Williams, you want Chet, and they could all get there in maybe 3 quarters and play into the fourth a little bit. Obviously, with this being the finals, teams are going to be a bit more hesitant to pull their guys off the floor, especially a team like Indiana, who continuously comes back from ridiculous deficits. So, Eli, it's not an easy answer. I think it kind of depends on how you think the game plays out. If you're going like Hallie, maybe don't have as much Siakam or Turner or Nemhard. If you're going SGA, and you think it's competitive, maybe a little bit less Williams or Holmgren. But again, if you think it blows out, you probably really just want to load up on that one team, even if you're paying for an expensive captain. Any additional thoughts on that, Jayhawk? Again, I just think you kind of want some sort of narrative in your lineups if you're hand building. Obviously, if you're playing 150, you could go crazy. Don't overthink it. Just kind of balance your exposures. But I'm someone who hand builds. But any thoughts on this question from Eli here?
Yeah, just one more thing to chime in here. I think if you're building for the OKC blowout, I think you probably want at least 2 out of the 3 of SGA, Shet, J Dub for sure, and
Agree.
then probably be in the winner.
Yep. And yeah, following up, do you think Isaiah Joe gets a little run of OKC blowout Indy? I will say yes, but I think the guy who's going to get the bigger boost is Wiggins. Um, we kind of saw that in game two. So for me, I like Wiggins more than Joe, even if I'm building for an OKC blowout. But Isaiah Joe is someone who should be heavily involved if the game were to blow out. But this is a hypothetical, Jayhawk. And I mean, I've been thinking we'd be seeing more blowouts. We haven't. Um, but yeah, I think I want Wiggins then Joe if I'm going super super heavy OKC.
Yeah, in terms of blowout, I think it all comes down to when the blowout is and is Indiana going to troll and try to come back. So I think I think for me, if it was a true blowout, I'd probably lean Joe. But it's kind of a crapshoot. I mean, it could be either one.
Yeah, Wiggins played excellent in that game too. It was a blowout, and they let him play the entire fourth quarter almost. So again, I'm just basing this off one game sample. Things change quickly, especially when you're talking about the two best teams in the league, quote unquote. Um, they're making adjustments on the fly. So AG here, James Woodbaum shouts out MLB. I don't think that was on the main slate, but I'm sure a few people have him in home run parlays. So enjoy that. Halliburton, Siakam. That's Siakam for me. But feel free to kind of wrap off that, Jayhawk. I think we've talked a bit about this. Just trying to zig with the field zags. I think we're seeing kind of game to game the guys who are going off for one team, maybe not the next game if they're going to go back and forth trading wins this series.
Yeah, I think just as a team, OKC, I just see them at least trying keying on Hallie here. So I much prefer Siakam just from a game theory perspective.
Yeah. Probably irrelevant, but Nemhard shot up a wild air ball. Might have been blocked right from the jump, and he wasn't the same from the eye test. Yeah, Daniels, I mean, it is the finals at the same time. I mean, Mathurin and TJ were playing really well too, but we got to keep in mind he had five fouls even before that game got out of hand. So I don't know. I just think it's a good bounce back spot more than anything. Hopefully, he does an air ball early though, and he keeps his head on his shoulder. Siakam has actually been the catalyst for the Pacers' offense. They good focus taken away from Morhalli. Yeah, totally agree, Antoine. I think every single stream, the one Brian was on with Chuck, I was on with Chuck, and I was on with you, and then I was like every single stream, we've kind of been beating the drum of Fade Hallie. It's going to burn us one or two of these games. It killed us last time. He was awesome. But if you're OKC, you got to stop him. You got to slow him down. They did great at that in the Minnesota series, really shutting down Anthony Edwards. But they couldn't slow him down that game. So I think we're going to see adjustments made here. And I do just want to take a moment to kind of shout out Rick Carlisle. Just one of the best coaches in the NBA. Guy never gets his flowers. Maybe ahead of, I'm dating myself here, but the run he went on with Dallas, where he beat that amazing OKC team that had KD, Harden, Russ, and then I think he also beat the Pels when they had AD Cousins and the Big Three in Miami when Dallas won that. Just a coach who can do a lot with a little, and he's showing that again in these finals. So, yeah, I'm swallowing my words coming in. I was like everyone else saying OKC in five, OKC in six. But man, Carlisle might be the MVP of the series. So I just really want to shout him out and just remind everyone that he's going to make adjustments in these games. So it's tough to predict game to game. 3-3 or 4-2, Bill. I'll give this one to you, Jayhawk. Do you have a firm lean here? For me, I'm kind of leaning 4-2 just because I think OKC is going to do well here tonight, but I've been wrong 2 out of the 3 games so far this series.
Yeah, so this is a tough question. Just kind of looking through my builds here, I'm pretty much 50-50, 3-3, 4-2. I think, and if I had to pick one, I probably would lean 4-2 with OKC 4 and Indy 2, but you could go either way, I think.
Yep, I totally agree. All right, so guys, feel free to get more questions in. If you're here, also like the video, subscribe to the channel. I know it's Friday evening; it's not going to be the most viewed stream, but we do appreciate you being in here. The likes do go a long way in continuing to get out this free content. But let's go ahead and kind of do our dummy build, right? I think the two of us, and if I missed the question, anyone, feel free to just ask it again. I'm sorry. Um, are we going SGA captain if we're doing one build? I think that's kind of been the move. It burned us last time, but I'm going back.
Let's do, yeah. For one build, probably SGA is the best.
Okay. So then it gets interesting. Like if we think the game's competitive or close to competitive, I think Siakam's my next guy in.
Yeah.
If we think OKC's really just gonna crush him here, I think I'd go Jalen or Chet. I mean, the price for Chet is super appealing. Not gonna lie, but I don't know. My lean Siakam. Like, who's your second guy in, or do we want to try to jam two of these more expensive guys and see what we're left with?
Yeah, so I think it depends on the game script. Assuming we're playing somewhat close, I think Siakam probably is the top player.
Cool. I think we're both on Caruso
Oh yeah, love
pretty
Caruso.
aggressively.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, I love TJ. I think he's maybe my favorite value in that range.
yeah,
Um, I just think he has the higher floor than Mathurin. Obviously, we saw that Mathurin ceiling game. We're
for sure.
left with just 4 ish K per player, so maybe we also need to be playing Mathurin. But how are you feeling about this range, man? Is there any punt you really like? We did see Shepard get a few minutes last game. That was kind of shocking to me. 18 minutes. Didn't do much with them. But I think if you're going super cheap, it's not insane, even if the game's competitive. Um, I don't know. I've been very bearish on Wallace, but he is cheap. How you feeling about this range? Because we got to go cheap the rest of the way.
Yeah, so this is kind of where I think you get make or break the slate here. Shepard, you could take a stab on. He could potentially get more minutes, but I don't love it. Let's uh let's go a little bit different. Could we fit in Hardenstein here? Or is that too expensive?
No, if we go Hartenstein, we could get one of Mathurin or Wallace. So I think that's a pretty good way to go.
I like that a lot. Yeah, let's do that.
Cool. Out of the two, who do you prefer? Or let's defer to the model here, right? Mathurin 3'9", Wallace 6'1". That's a big jump. So hey, when all else fails, trust the model. Let's go Case and Wallace here. Leave 300 on the table. Hopefully that gets us a little bit different.
Right.
Over on FanDuel, I mean, I have trouble getting away from SGA. And again, FanDuel new format where you're paying similar to DK more for your captains. It used to just be flat pricing. Um, Maybe let's go like more of a blowout here. Right? Let's not
Okay.
maybe not an entire blowout, but SGA and then I don't know. Do you want to go Chet or do you want to go Jalen?
Man, that's tough. Let's see. Chet. Either one's good. I do have slightly more J Dub, but Chet's solid as well.
Yeah, Chet's just kind of too cheap. We're going Hartenstein on DK, so maybe between the two sites we're hedging ourselves a little bit. If this is the build, I do think they're going to do a good job shutting down Hallie, in which case maybe we're getting more Mathurin here. I still think the price on McConnell over here is just insane. Let's throw Toppin in too, see where that leaves us. Oh, wow. It's kind of crazy. So FanDuel's pricing is insanely soft. We can go J Dub over Chet. Um, and we can still get Siakam if we want
Wow,
to. This is ridiculous.
that's so.
FanDuel today is very, very soft in terms of pricing. Just want to say that to everyone. I mean, if you're building, you should really like your lineup. I don't think you need to get weird and go to super cheap guys like Wiggins. Mathurin, I mean, coming off a huge game, he's fine. But all these blowout guys, I think even in a blowout, like, I don't know, like, I still really like a build like this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's weird. Pricing got tougher on DK and softer on FanDuel. So everyone just kind of keep that in mind. Again, just kind of make sure your lineup makes sense. If you think the game's competitive, obviously you want expensive pieces from both sides. If you think one team's going to blow out the other, obviously maybe just have 2 studs from one team, get away from the studs from the other. I think the game's competitive like we do. I think we're going a lot of SGA with Siakam. I mean, I think that's, again, going to be the build I'm getting to the most. Any other question, guys, feel free to get them in. We are coming up on about a half hour. Slate locks in 25 minutes. Um, any other additional thoughts, Jayhawk? Anything else we should be talking through? Again, game to game, it's kind of tough to predict the future, but I do think OKC is going to even the series tonight.
Yeah, that's the hope. OKC evens the series here. Should be a fun slate. I do want to note one more thing. Caruso's 4% on the captain. I have closer to 10%. I'm like double that. So I do think he's interesting. We didn't build with him at captain, but he could be interesting with the stalk upside here.
I like it. We're getting some word here that maybe Hartenstein's starting, so maybe I finally can feel smart that OKC is going to go big. Um, is this official, guys, or is this just wishful thinking? Because I think every stream I've been on, I've brought this up. I'm like, I'm surprised they went with Wallace. I think they should be going to Hartenstein. Are they going big here?
They are. He's starting at the
They
four.
are. Let's go. Okay, so what does this mean? Hartenstein's too cheap, first and foremost.
Yep.
Really like Turner even less. And yeah, this is probably going to look a little bit different. I think this is what OKC should have been doing this entire series. It does hurt Chet slightly, but it also, I don't know. I still think he's underpriced more than anything. I just like Hartenstein more, but you have to think the field's going to get there.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm curious to see. I don't think he'll be high captain, but maybe we see that captain ownership rise a little bit too at his price.
Yeah, it could. And just for the sake, just for shits and gigs here, I'll try to build real quick with him at captain and just see what we can jam.
This might be like galaxy brain play, but he's starting.
Yeah, again, if you're playing 150, you're one of those fields with 100,000 people. Like this is a little bit too cute. Like you could go to McConnell, you could go to Caruso, but if you want to go nuts, go Hartenstein. I don't know. I accidentally clicked McConnell. Maybe that's an omen. But you could get SGA and Tally. I still probably want to go Hallie. SGA, Siakam, Williams. I don't know, something like this. Maybe you pull McConnell, 45 per. I don't want to pull McConnell. I don't know. It's you can get up there. I mean, pull Jalen for Chet, and we're looking at Nemhard. Like no salary left. This is a pretty good build, but like if this is what wins, I imagine it's a competitive game, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
I actually
So
really like.
yeah, it's like I don't get any money for it, but I feel pretty like vindicated that Hartenstein's finally starting. I'm kind of shocked that they keep running Wallace out there as the starter. This hurts Wallace obviously in terms of his upside, but yeah, it's going to lower his ownership. So if you want to still get to him, even at the discount, I think it makes some sense. That's pretty much all for me, man. Any other last second thoughts before we get out of here?
Nope, couldn't have put it any better. I think Kaysen much worse playing out coming off the bench. So I'll be definitely way lower on him.
Bingo. Awesome. Well, good luck, everyone. Again, check the links in the description below to get access to the model we use throughout the video. Um, yeah, we got a multi lineup builder. We got the plug going for all different sports. I'm writing MLB. We got UFC tomorrow. I know UFL's going on with Chris. Golf's going on. So much going on behind that paywall there. We're one of the cheaper entry points in the industry, too, just for excellent data, constant screenshots in every sport. Really great Discord community. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Good luck. And yeah, let's see a good game tonight. Take care.
See you guys. Good luck.